We all have situations in our lives where we wish we hadn't done that thing. When we look back and we go, oh my goodness, why on earth did I do that? How different would my life have been if I hadn't have done that thing? Well, this story is one of those. When I was 21, I had the opportunity to go riding off-road motorbikes. My brother-in-law and sister-in-law had on-road motorbikes and they had off-road motorbikes, and they invited me and my husband to go and ride these bikes. Now, I was used to riding a little motorbike scooter called what we like to call in New Zealand, a nifty 50, little 50cc scooter. My scooter happened to be bright pink. It was all we could get at the time, and I used to whiz along on my little pink scooter. It probably looked quite funny, actually. I used to call it my Barbie scooter because it looked like that shiny bright pink that's on a lot of Barbie doll accessories. So the key thing about a nifty 50 is that the controls are the opposite way around to a trail bike, as I discovered. So off I went on this trail bike, and it was a 250cc motorbike, and I was used to a 50cc motorbike. So I was having a little bit of trouble getting control of this motorbike. And I started to have a bit of fun. It was going well, and there was a very steep hill. And so I went up the hill, I went down the hill, it was all going well. And then I had this feeling that said, stop now, it's all gone well, let's don't push it too far. And I stopped beside my husband and beside my brother-in-law, and I expressed this. I said, look, I just feel like I shouldn't carry on. They went, no, you'll be fine, just keep going. And I listened to them, and I didn't listen any longer to my own self. That was a bad move. So up I went, up the hill again. Now, the hill was particularly steep. It was probably about that kind of steep, which when you're inexperienced, you don't know what you're doing, it's not very helpful. And I got to a point where the land kind of came into a concave area. And as I was going down this dip, I freaked out and I grabbed the controls and I let out the throttle. And anybody who knows about motorbikes, you don't want to do that in the situation I was. So suddenly my bike shot off, I flipped off, and next thing I know, I'm cartwheeling flat out down the hill, and my legs and my arms are just going for it. I finally came to a stop, and I knew I'd done some pretty severe damage, and my husband watched me tumble down the hill and freaked out and ran quickly to get to me. So he ended up holding me onto this hillside to stop me from rolling any further, and my brother-in-law was on the phone trying to get the ambulance to get to me. Took them 45 minutes to get to me. Whew. And then they finally got me into the ambulance and got me to the hospital. And that road to the hospital, it felt like the most bumpy road in Hamilton. It was not a pleasant experience. When we got to the hospitals in New Zealand are often overrun. There's like too many people. The emergency department is full. And I got pushed into a corridor on a bed and just left there, and people would come past and bang the bed. Finally, the doctor got to me, and he looked at me, and he went, oh, you poor thing. And then, would you believe it? He put his hand on my leg, and he rubbed my broken leg. He decided that I was needed comfort so much that he would rub my broken leg. Yeah, good one, doctor. And then you wouldn't believe it, but later on, like several hours later on, I had a second doctor, a second doctor did the exact same thing to me. He felt so sorry for me that he also put his hand on my leg and rubbed the damaged leg. So what I'd actually done was I ended up ripping the ligament completely in the middle of my knee, and I also ripped the ligaments down the side of my knee. And that ended up having a pretty major effect on my life because I didn't get it repaired for a very, very long time. And suddenly I wasn't able to dance, I wasn't able to, I wasn't able to do just about anything. For about a year and a half, I could barely walk, couldn't go up and down stairs. It kind of changed my life, and I couldn't run, and yeah, it finally got repaired. But what I realised was it's really important to listen to those little voices in our head that tell us, those cautionary voices that tell us don't do that thing, because then we might have been protected from that situation, and then I would have had a very, very different life. That's my little story.